specifically in my position as a primary care doctor. I've been a naturopath for many years, and I have a big base of patients who are relying on me to be their leader, to provide guidance as to what to do. But nobody was guiding me. And so I had lots of phone calls, lots of emails from my patients who have a cough or a fever, and they don't know what to do. And so I need to figure out what to do. I'm online. I'm CDC and Washington Department of Health, and there's nobody to guide me. And so that was the start of COVID for me, was not being fearful, because it's my job to take care of these people. I've been taking care of my patients for years, and I can't find a test. I'm calling everywhere. I can't find guidelines. And so I'm calling labs. I'm calling other health departments to figure out what to do. And thinking that I have patients who do have COVID, and realizing I can't get a hold of PPE. I can't get a hold of the proper things to protect me, because we don't know how dangerous COVID is. We know hardly anything, and I'm supposed to be providing the reassurance that people need to know, where do I go? What do I do? Do I wear a mask? What do I do? Before COVID, tests were available. I was able to get a hold of a few nasal swabs, and so I was trying to figure out how to do a COVID test in my parking lot with science goggles, and basically it's homemade PPE, and having people drive through and doing nasal swabs, because at the same time that I have to lead them, I'm also feeling fear myself. I don't want to get COVID either. So that was the start of COVID for me, is just trying to hold it together and trying to get information so that I can lead people through this.
So over the course of the year, how has that burden gone? Has it just maintained a level of tension and trauma, or have you found a way to cope, or what are you seeing?
Things were definitely getting better as our scientists were getting more information. I kind of still am a terrible news junkie. I spend hours reading scientific journals, summaries of scientific journals, to know what to do, to know the latest on the infection, to create protocols in my office to protect people, to create protocols to manage illness, to how to support an immune system. Because I didn't know who was going to get it, how they were going to get it. Just it was out there and pervasive, and so focusing in on immune support was one of the best things I could do. And for example, just like learning how vitamin C IVs could be really great for supporting the immune system if somebody was starting to get ill, and then hearing that the FDA was going to be shutting down any charlatans doing vitamin C IVs, even though we know that they're safe and supportive. So trying to saying, all right, well, we can't do that because we don't want to be shut down. And again, trying to communicate really well with our patients and doing newsletters on a regular basis to say, okay, this is what we know. Now there's a test for antibodies because people were calling and saying, did I have it? So being able to reassure people, yes, you had it, still be careful. No, you thought you had it, which was like a majority of the patients thought they had COVID, and we didn't find antibodies. And so it was that kind of support, and I became more comfortable, and I became the expert that I needed to be, and I just kind of held my fear, over here, by knowing who I am and knowing what I want to be for people and how I'm going to get that, and coordinating with my business partner on how we're going to make sure that she and I stay safe too.
So how has that ride been for you emotionally, personally? Apart from your feeling of responsibility professionally and taking care of everyone, what effect have you felt?
Yeah, on a personal note, I think that I realized how serious it was when the governor said that schools were closed. And for me, I'm like, holy shit. Oh, this is real. Kids are not going to go to school. I mean, yes, all these social gatherings were going to be limited. Not being able to, to see my friends is hard. That's a huge support for me. So, and I don't find it exactly the same on Zoom. I really kind of fought about doing a lot of video chatting, and of course I had to for work. I started to do telemedicine. But just missing that human contact so much. I used to hug my patients, and it seems really weird that you can't hug anybody anymore. The wearing masks and sometimes not recognizing people right away because they have a mask on. Just being so grateful that I don't live alone. Knowing people who lived alone and having to really isolate has been really hard. I think maybe I'm lucky in that I've had a job during COVID. It's been something. I think that's why I'm talking about it so much. It's actually given me something to kind of just grab onto. And without that, I think I would have been a lot more depressed if I hadn't had to that. Being able to go into work on a personal note was a really good thing for me, because I did get to still, see some people. It was pretty quiet at the beginning of the pandemic, and spending so much time at home is, I think I consider myself an introvert. It seems like I should have been able to love it more than I did.
So a lot of things have changed in the last year. You know, the way that people are doing business, you know, the proliferation of Zoom as a means of working from home, and you know, doing a lot of things that before we assumed we had to be there in person, we had to be in the building, we had, you know, all that kind of thing. As well as, you know, I mean, a lot of things that have changed. You know, who knows if movie theaters will ever really come back? Who knows if, you know, we found ways that we can do these things maybe more efficiently, cheaper. I don't know if those are good things or bad things, but I think that some good things have come out of the pandemic. Have you seen some good come from this?
I would guess that the goodness has been in my own self-development. I know there's like all the things you know, in the outside world that have changed. But my initial answer is that spending so much time alone gave me time to reflect, because I mean, this is super personal, but just dealing with the loss of a relationship, which I think that I kept really social and busy because I just didn't want to process that. And being home alone gave me a lot of time to really think about it. And I think I'm actually a better person because of it, of all that time alone and thinking and processing. That, I think, has made me much more aware and more compassionate to myself and to others too. Thinking about what has the pandemic done for the world. Actually, I do remember, like, at the beginning they were saying how clear the skies were because of the lack of pollution, and that was amazing and wonderful. And I was like, oh, we have to pay attention to this. We have to stop driving. We have to stop making so much pollution. I remember spending more time listening to the birds sing, and I was like, were they always there? Or is it that there's less pollution? Spending lots of time outside and lots of time, you know, looking at the sky, more so than before, definitely has been a good thing that's come out of the pandemic. I hope that we do protect the world and the environment more because of that awareness alone. I guess the other thing to think about is that I haven't really seen any colds and flus much in my practice because everyone is very, very good at washing their hands, like, all the time. I know my hands can get cracked from washing them, you know, so much. And, you know, maybe wearing masks sometimes is a good thing to do, and maybe we should do that more to keep people more healthy. Yeah. Oh, the other thing is just how what patients have said too, during the pandemic, and it's definitely been across the board. But hearing about how people, again, maybe like me, thinking about needing to process a relationship, people being home or spending maybe more time on their physical health and maybe walking more and taking increased time for self-care. I think that can be a really good thing too.
So would you say you're hopeful?
Hopeful. Yeah, I think it's hopeful that sometimes that we turn inward, and take a moment to be quiet. Take a moment to listen. That, maybe in this moment of change, in these moments of fear, that we can be really quiet, and look and listen and observe. I think sometimes maybe in our pre-COVID life, we didn't do that. Because you can go to the movies and you can go to a concert, and I want to do all those things. I want to go dancing again, and I want to go eat in restaurants and not worry about respiratory droplets. And I wonder if they've got some kind of COVID. I miss that, but I think there's hope for growth for all of us as people. I don't know. I'm kind of just never really thought about it so much, but I think that's a possibility too.